All right, everyone. I am trying to get the hang of Facebook Live video, and it's been interesting. We've got this nice infinity infinity thing going down with my screen, but really you don't need to see my face. We just need to see these lovely properties in Cape San Blas. And so in case you don't know, this is the Guest Hook Live Edit, where we take a look at a piece of copy, whether it's a listing description or a website, and we go ahead and live edit the copy in real time. So, and this is actually live. If you're watching right now on Facebook, then we are actually live. And I'm going to just take you through the process of what it's like to edit a piece of copy. In this case, so last week we looked at a listing description. This week we are looking at a website. And again, this is in Cape San Blas, Florida, on the Gulf Coast. And Carrie has 3 properties. She owns all 3. And so yeah, we're looking at a homepage this time. So the goals are a little bit different than a listing site, but some of the same principles apply that we talked about during the last one. So let's just jump right in. So the first thing about a website that's a little bit different than a listing site is that people don't always know exactly what they found when they land on your website. Ideally, if someone is looking for a vacation rental in Cape San Blas and they find this one, then they want to be sure from the very start that they have found what they're looking for. So you need some sort of road sign to let people know that they found you. And so one thing the homepage is missing right now is a headline of some sort to let people know that they have found what they're looking for. If they're looking for a vacation rental on Cape San Blas, this is it. So my first suggestion would be to add, and this is the software we use when we edit all of our listings and content that we get from people and where we write new content. So I'm just going to do it right within our system. I would recommend adding some sort of headline to this so that people know right away that they have found what they're looking for if they're looking for a vacation rental. So let's say something like, find your bliss at a Cape San Blas vacation rental. So that's got pretty much everything you need here. It's got the name of the destination. It's got what exactly it is. It's a vacation rental. It's not a hotel. And I mean, of course, people can figure that out from context clues when they're looking at a website. And it does say up here in the tab what it is. But again, it just helps give people the sense that they found what they're looking for. And it also helps for search engine optimization as well. Which I'm not going to get into too much today. We're just going to focus on the copy, but having this and vacation rental in your headline makes it more likely that you'll be found on Google. So let's take a look at this first paragraph now. This is really the introduction to the property and to the place. And one thing I would say as a general rule that may be relevant to others, not necessarily as relevant in this case, but sometimes you want to be sure not to focus too much on the destination in your copy because you're assuming that people are familiar with Cape San Blas already and they have done a search looking specifically for rentals in that place. So if they found you, they might not need to be swayed on the place exactly. But in this case, I actually do like how Carrie has told us a bit about this forgotten coast. And that's for a couple reasons. One being that it's not a common destination. You certainly aren't going to talk about what Disney is if you have a place in Orlando. But for people who aren't really familiar with it or maybe like, is this the right place for me? It kind of makes sense to do a little bit of a breakdown about what makes Cape San Blas special. And also, Carrie was telling me that Hurricane Michael affected Cape San Blas, and there's really been a need for tourism in that destination, so to help rebuild. So it's worth mentioning some things about this place that people might not be familiar with. But again, if you have a vacation rental on a popular spot, you might not want to focus too much on the destination in your copy because that's a lot of valuable real estate. So my second thing I want to talk about with this intro is this phrase right here. Some time ago, Guest Hook wrote a post called Words to Avoid in Your Vacation Rental Listing Description. And as it turns out, Amazing was on that list. And I'm going to go ahead and post a link to that blog post in the comments of this post so people can check it out and see the other words that we recommend not using. But it's also incredibly common. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why it's not the best word to use because it is so common. Amazing doesn't really tell us much about the beach, right? So it's kind of a filler word. Anything can be, amazing. So what makes this beach particularly amazing? That's the first change I would make. I'm gonna leave this nice welcome message because I think another thing this intro does really well is it captures Carrie's love of this place. I don't know if you wrote this yourself, Carrie, but it does seem to have that, the passion for the place. That's one thing we want to keep. So we're gonna keep that welcome message. We'll do a comma and something like a true gem on Florida's forbidden coast. And now we're going to talk about some of the things that make this place special. And I did a little bit of research, and some of the things I was seeing that was that the beaches are pretty uncrowded. So I'm going to try to type as softly as possible because last time my typing was just very loud, so I'm trying to be gentle with the keys. Where the beaches are uncrowded, the seafood restaurants are family owned, which is another thing that I've found. A lot of the restaurants on the island a lot of the restaurants in this destination rather are family owned, so it's kind of a nice perk. And old Florida, charm is all around you. And old Florida really, if you guys aren't familiar, just really is all about the sort of nostalgic feeling of Florida before it became, the hotbed tourist destination. And this place is really undiscovered in that way. So now we've just made this a little more specific about the place. And now we're going to talk about the houses themselves, which is what this part does here. We're going to say something like our trio of vacation rentals, which again, being very specific about what they are, vacation rentals. And then let's go ahead and name them. Beach Camp, Good Fortune, and Sweet Necessity. Something for everyone. And this phrase I picked out because they're all slightly different from each other. They all have different perks, which we're going to talk about that. But I wanted to really, say that we have options for you guys. We have a portfolio, so check them out. So that's why we did this something for everyone. And let me go ahead. Okay, and then the last line that I like here is, we are thrilled for you and your family to be guests in our homes. I really like that. That really hammers home that welcoming attitude that Carrie seems to have. So we want to keep that, but the sentence doesn't really make sense as it is. So I'm going to change that up a bit. Or rather, it doesn't make sense with the changes that I made. So I'll write a new sentence, which is something like, our family can't wait for your family to be guests in our homes. Maybe if we can get this to italicize, there we go. So we've made this intro a little bit shorter than the original, but we're a little bit more specific with details. And actually, grammatical error that I just discovered of mine here, it'd be offer something because I'm referring back to this word trio here instead of vacation rentals. So our trio of vacation rentals offer something for everyone. Okay. So now we move on to the individual descriptions of each of these rentals. One thing I noticed is that they're all three a different length. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. These two are roughly similar. This one's a little bit on the longer side. Just for consistency, you might want to think about standardizing that a bit. And I actually think that this right here is really the perfect length. This one is maybe a little bit too long, so we might want to cut that back some. We also want to make sure that in these three, we're doing the work of differentiating the three properties so that when people land here, they kind of can get a sense right off the bat of which ones are right for them. So my suggestion for helping people with that is to have like a subheader or something that identifies what is different about each of these, and having that be like either part of the headline or maybe in a slightly smaller font right beneath it. But I came up with some things like this one, the first one, Beach Camp here. It's really lovely, obviously a large property, and it says here, perfect for larger groups, and has tons of amenities like the pool and the elevator, the shuffleboard. So we want to talk about the amenities. So So something like that, maybe. And then good fortune is all about the views. This one has got beautiful Gulf views from like nearly every room. So I like something like Gulf views galore. And these sort of subheadings that I'm writing here, they all capture the unique selling points of these properties too. So people get a really quick idea of what makes them so special. And then Sweet Necessity is a brand new property. And I think, and Carrie, I might be wrong about this, but I think this one is actually beachfront. It's certainly on the Gulf, and the beach seems to be right there. So that might be something you might want to address in the copy if it's not beachfront, because it's kind of unclear from the pictures. So we're going to say brand new and beachfront. So now we've sort of differentiated these a little bit. And now I'm going to take a look at the actual copy for each one. So this first line here is very sort of location focused, and maybe that's relevant because the neighborhoods are quite different from each other. There might be a reason to start with that, but my recommendation is to keep it focused a little bit more on these great amenities, because again, you don't have much room here, so you want to be sure in the snippet section. Of course, there's the property description as a whole. As you see when I click there, it takes us to a larger description. But today we're just looking at this homepage copy. And so we need to tell a lot about these properties in just a small amount of space here. So I was thinking something like beauty at the beach, oops, in Ocean Haven. Maybe if Ocean Haven is an important selling point, you want to leave that in there. So I am going to leave that in there just in case it's important. And then we're really focusing on the amenities in this, which is what you did, Carrie, in your original. So I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. Amenities abound, including a private pool, elevator, a shuffleboard table, and 4 decks with Gulf and bay views. I actually really like this sentence too. Perfect home for larger groups to enjoy both the relaxing and active aspects of Cape San Blas. I just do one small tweak to that. Just make it a little less wordy. We come for larger groups to both relax and get active in Cape San Blas. So, and then maybe in your description, you might want to talk about some of those activities that people can do while they're there, because that'd be really interesting to see and hear more about. Okay, so that's that, and we're going to try to keep all of these about this length. So, good fortune. So I'm not sure exactly what first tier home means, if that means like top quality or, you know, what exactly that means. So, but I'm going to assume that doesn't mean that it's like on the first floor of a condo building. It wasn't entirely clear from this image here if this was like a townhome, or so that might be something to consider talking about in this as well. Good fortune is a lovely Sunset Point vacation rental, surrounded by right now I'm basically just making the sentence a little bit clearer. Peninsula's natural beauty, and blessed by an unobstructed view of the Gulf of Mexico. So let's take a look at this listing one more time, because I think we need one more sentence to really capture the unique selling points of this. It does have a pool, so that's always a perk with guests. Love those views. Okay. Steps from the beach. It has an outdoor shower, which is really nice. Okay. Play in the pool or the beach, just steps away. Actually, maybe we'll say I really am editing this on the fly. So we'll say splash instead of pool, or the beach just steps away. Then rinse the sand away in the outdoor shower. I've heard that outdoor showers are a huge hit with guests when you are on the beach, so I figure it's worth mentioning here in this. And so now we've got two kind of similarly length snippets here about these properties, really capturing those selling points. Oh, and before I forget, I have one other piece of feedback that you might want to consider, Carrie, and that is having something here about the bed and bath count at these properties. I like how you show the rate, the weekly rate, and the star rating, but you might want to also consider putting like bed count, bath count, and how many it sleeps there, just for that quick reference that people are looking for. Okay, so this one's brand new, so it's new for summer 2019, and that's going to be a huge perk, right? Because people are going to be able to stay in a place that's brand new. It's lovely. So, but we need to cut this back a bit. So let's see how we might do this. Brand new. Brand new would be hyphenated because it's a compound adjective. I won't get too much into the reasons for that, but golf front home. Probably do it like this, just to make the sentence a little more intuitive. Brand new golf front home. To welcome its first guest in late summer 2019. I took out the under construction part just because that's kind of implied. So I just took that part out and made it a little more friendly and that's ready to welcome people. So we've got unobstructed views of the Gulf and the natural green. We've got another private pool, an elevator. So we want to make sure we talk about those perks. Let's see, I'm trying to find a way to talk about these amenities. You'll find family-friendly perks like private pool, an elevator, large deck, 3 master bedrooms, 2 living spaces, and a dining table to seat the entire family. It kind of reminds me of, I was about to say, and a partridge and a pear tree. three master bedrooms, 2 living spaces, and a dining table to seat the entire family. So I kind of like that. This line here, I'm not sure it's necessarily needed. And if we take that out, then we've got 3 that are roughly the same length. 3 descriptions of the 3 properties that are roughly the same length. And it may seem like a small thing, and it probably is, but having that visual consistency on your website just makes it look really nice and professional. So that's part of the reason why I did it that way. And I just wanted to call everyone's attention to this last section. And this is this lovely part where Carrie talks about the advantages of an owner-managed property. It's obvious that Carrie really cares about these places and she wants her family to have an amazing vacation. There's that word amazing again, but I really love the sentiment here. So I think this should absolutely stay. And you know what, I'm actually not going to edit this one because I think it's really got a nice voice to it, even though it's using that word amazing. You might want to think about finding another way to say that, Carrie, if you'd like. But overall, I think this is a really nice way to close out your homepage and really introduce people to who you are. And that's a really important part of, really engaging guests. So, just to recap what we did today, we added a headline, which is important for helping guests to realize that they found what they're looking for. We have fine-tuned this beginning to be a bit clearer about the lovely things that Cape San Blas has to offer. And then we sort of retooled these a little bit to better focus on the unique selling points of each one. And I think that'll about do it. Carrie, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. If anyone else, so there's my infinity screen. If anyone else has any questions for us, feel free to email us info@guesthook.com, and we will see you again for the next one. I just saw, Carrie, that your property, the second property I was talking, or the third property rather, is 1 block back from Bellfront. Okay, gotcha. All right, thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you maybe next week after the holidays. Everyone have a lovely holiday.